That was Community Forestry International, a non-profit organization based in California that's been working with our people for the past 10 years to bring that cloud forest back to its former glory. And as you can see, the goal is to restore 20,000 hectares of forest. And we have used a Scottish standard called Plan Vivo, which then certifies these forests, the types of tree species, multiple species of trees, and the carbon credit is then being sold by Community Forestry International in California, and that money received from people that buy those carbon credits then goes back to pay those women in the field who actually plant those trees, and they actually get a wage for taking care of their forests, and they maintain those forests in those fragile catchment areas. And that forest will be sustained for 30 years. There are two types of initiatives. One is AR, afforestation, reforestation. You know what that means, right? Afforestation is planting trees where trees that don't exist before, so your afforestation. Reforestation is planting trees in a place where trees have been cut off, where it's becoming barren, so you reforest. So AR, afforestation, reforestation, which means starting from scratch. RED, R-E-D-D, is protecting standing trees. So if you were trees right now standing at full growth and somebody's about to cut you off, we need to protect you, and that terminology is called RED, R-E-D-D. It means reducing emissions from forest degradation and deforestation. We're trying to reduce you from being cut off as trees or being degraded, so we protect. So we have to calculate how much each tree standing actually absorb carbon as a forest and pay people to maintain you as a standing tree. So one is called protection and preservation of a standing forest through RED, and another is restoring and putting new trees in bald spots. So obviously the carbon credits of a standing forest will be more because the trees are already standing tall, and it will go up and down because some trees will die and some will grow. But the new ones, the little trees, will not suck as much carbon as the big trees because they're growing up slowly from scratch. So there's a different equation to calculate the carbon from the little trees compared to the carbon of standing trees. But at some point, those little baby trees will be at the same height as the big elder trees. So those are the two methodologies in what we call forestry carbon projects. AR, afforestation, reforestation, which those women are doing starting from scratch, and RED is protecting and monitoring standing trees that are healthy and making sure nobody cuts them. But for the women to do that job, they need to be paid. Who will pay that is the polluters. Big shipping companies or big airline companies will calculate their annual footprint, or let's just say we have 3,000 passengers in this ship. We've made the crossing from Fort Lauderdale to Barcelona, and each of us have released 1 ton of carbon. During our epic 2-week journey, we have released 1 ton to the atmosphere, our contribution. So we have 3,000 passengers, right? So each of us has released collectively 3,000 tons of carbon emissions to the atmosphere. What do we do to mitigate the 3,000 tons? Each of us will at least have to plant 1 tree, because that 1 tree over its lifetime of 30 years will suck that 1 ton. But if we do these cruise ships every year, we'll keep polluting 1 ton every crossing. So obviously we're not supposed to plant 1 tree, but 1 tree for every crossing, or maybe more, depending on how many tons, because a ship pollutes much more than a plane, and it takes longer. So I guess it's more than 1 ton, maybe 2 or 3 tons per passenger. So that's how you kind of say, forgive my sins in a way, by putting trees back on the ground. But at the same time, whatever you pay for those workers from the carbon credit actually creates jobs in developing countries and restores the ecosystems, bring back the flora and the fauna. So it's a win-win. We, the polluters, pay for the ones that protect the planet. It's called payment for environmental services. So jobs and ecosystems and tigers and birds are restored in the developing world, while we are happy cruisers, happy responsible cruisers, contribute.